There are moments in history that slip through the cracks of time, forgotten by most, yet still whispering in the dark corners of our past. Tonight, we revisit one such mystery, a wave of eerie sightings that gripped the United Kingdom in 1909. Strange airships, seen by dozens, reported by newspapers, and yet unexplained to this very day. This is the story of the British Scareship Invasion. It began in the early months of 1909. The first reports came from the night sky above London. Witnesses described a dark, cigar-shaped craft gliding silently over the city, its bright searchlights scanning the streets below. Some swore they heard a faint humming sound as it passed overhead. One man, a night watchman near Blackfriars Bridge, later recounted the strange sensation that accompanied the noise, a deep, resonant vibration that seemed to pass through his very bones, leaving a lingering unease. Others claimed it moved in an unnatural way, hovering without wings or propellers, unlike anything known to exist at the time. Another witness, an off-duty constable in Hampstead Heath, described how the craft seemed to tilt and slide rather than turn, shifting at odd angles in ways no conventional aircraft could replicate. At first, these reports were dismissed. The British government and military outright denied any knowledge of these aircraft, with officials insisting that no such technology existed. Leading engineers of the time rejected the idea as impossible, arguing that even the most advanced airships could not perform the maneuvers described by witnesses. Some newspapers treated the reports with skepticism, suggesting that people were simply mistaking Venus, meteors, or other celestial objects for mysterious craft. The technology required for such a machine was, as far as the public knew, beyond the reach of British or foreign engineers. But the sightings continued. As the weeks went on, similar accounts emerged from South Wales, the Midlands, and even as far north as Scotland. In Birmingham, a police officer claimed he saw an airship descending low enough that he could make out two figures within it. In Peterborough, a group of railway workers described a massive structure, eerily silent, hovering above the tracks before vanishing into the night. One worker later gave a detailed statement, claiming the object had a row of dim, flickering lights along its underside and moved with an unnatural smoothness. Another recalled feeling an odd static charge in the air as it passed, as if the atmosphere itself had changed. The men stood frozen, watching as the object loomed over them before it shot skyward at an impossible speed, leaving behind only a faint hum that faded into the night. In 1909, airship technology was still in its infancy. The German Zeppelin program had made some advancements, but nothing capable of crossing the English Channel undetected, let alone maneuvering in the way witnesses described. The British military denied any knowledge of such crafts. If the scareships were real, then who or what was controlling them? At the time, explanations ranged from the plausible to the bizarre. Some insisted they were early prototypes from Britain's own secret aviation programs, their existence known only to a handful of officials. Others feared the ships were German reconnaissance vehicles, quietly mapping the British Isles in preparation for war. A few believed the airships were the work of wealthy inventors, private individuals testing radical new flying machines under cover of darkness. Then there were those who saw a more supernatural angle, speculating that the crafts were ghostly manifestations, echoes of an unknown future, or even visitors from beyond the stars. In a time when aviation was still a fragile dream, such theories blurred the line between science and speculation. These theories soon turned to panic as news media fanned the flames of speculation. Stories of German reconnaissance, covert aviation prototypes, and extraterrestrial contact littered the newspapers. At the time, the idea of visitors from other planets was largely confined to science fiction and spiritualist circles, yet some believed there was mounting evidence that these craft were not of this Earth. Their silent movement, unnatural speed, and apparent ability to defy known physics were considered glimpses of an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Could these have been early encounters with what we now call UFOs? If so, why were they only seen in 1909? And why did they vanish just as quickly as they appeared? The mystery deepened when reports of men dressed in unusual clothing began surfacing. In some cases, witnesses described figures emerging from the landed airships, their attire unfamiliar and their accents strange. One particularly chilling account came from a man in Caerphilly, Wales, who claimed he saw an airship land in a remote field late one evening. He described two figures stepping out, wearing long, dark coats and speaking in a language he could not recognize. When they noticed him, they hurried back into the craft, which then rose silently into the sky before vanishing at an impossible speed. Were these early test pilots, unknown foreign agents, or something else entirely? Then, just as quickly as it began, the Scareship Invasion ended. The sightings ceased, the newspapers moved on, and history, ever forgetful, allowed the mystery to fade into obscurity. But one of the final reports was perhaps the most unsettling of all. In the quiet countryside near Norfolk, a farmer and his son reported seeing a massive, elongated craft descending into a mist-covered field just before dawn. The farmer approached cautiously, describing an eerie, low-frequency hum that made his skin prickle. As he neared, the ship rose abruptly, kicking up a whirlwind of dust and broken branches before vanishing into the sky. The father and son never forgot what they saw. But as the days passed and no further reports emerged, their story, like so many others, faded into the background of history. But what were they? If they were airships, why were no wrecks or evidence ever found? If they were secret technology, why did no military records ever emerge? And if they were something beyond human understanding, what was their purpose? Modern theories offer some possible answers. Some historians suggest that the Scareships were misidentified early aircraft, experimental prototypes built by private inventors or military groups who left no official record of their work. Others propose that the sightings were a combination of mass hysteria and optical illusions, common atmospheric conditions creating the illusion of large, silent objects in the sky. Could the Scareships have been the product of the era's fascination with flight, fueled by speculation and exaggerated reports? Or does their sudden disappearance suggest something more deliberate, something we were never meant to understand? The British Scareship Invasion of 1909 remains one of the strangest unsolved aerial mysteries in British history, a fleeting glimpse into a sky that even now holds secrets we have yet to uncover. Perhaps one day the truth will reveal itself. Until then, the Scareships remain a ghostly enigma in the night sky. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this tale of the unexplained intriguing, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and pressing the bell icon. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. There are many more mysteries to uncover.